Welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman, the podcast dedicated to helping you build the business of your dreams and live the life you always hoped for, with valuable and fun tips and info to make your life easier and more fun. And now, here's your host, a man who sprinkles metal shavings on his breakfast cereal just for fun, Jason Silverman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. I'm your host, Jason Silverman, and I'm thrilled to share some time with you once again today. As you know, I am always on the hunt for interesting as well as super smart real deal guests. And I got to tell you, today's show is a grand slam. I want to introduce my listeners to somebody who's truly been there and done that, and I'm excited to pick his brains for your benefit today. Now, for the folks who I work with in any of my coaching programs, my mastermind group, or through Powerful Words character development or all-star cheer sites, you know how much I focus on the importance of understanding profitable business models, right? Well, this show is going to help us to do just that. So today it's going to be my honor and privilege to share an amazing resource with you. You're going to love today's guest. He's got a ton of valuable information about a super hot topic to help you succeed as well as a fun way to deliver it. So I want you to strap yourself in. Today's show is going to be a blast. As I'm sure you already know, I'm committed to helping business owners just like you to become more successful, enjoy your career more, and in general make your life significantly more fun. You know, as far as I'm concerned, we only get one trip around this merry-go-round, and I want to make sure it's one hell of a ride. Alrighty, boys and girls, it is now that time. I want you to stop surfing Facebook, put away your phone, your tablet, your dog, your cat, your spouse, your significant other, your child, anything that might possibly distract you from today's show. You're about to get some great and immediately usable information, and I don't want you to miss even a second of it. So, before we officially get going, I want to give you a little bit of background about our guest today. John Warrillow is the creator of the Value Builder System, a statistically proven methodology for improving a company's value by up to 71%. John's the author of the best-selling book, Built to Sell. And folks, got to tell you, one of my all-time favorite books. If you have not read it, after you're done with this podcast, one of the first things you do is either download it, go buy it, do something, and eat it. Best book ever. Again, Built to Sell, creating a business that can thrive without you, which was recognized by both Fortune and Inc. magazine as one of the best business books of 2011. Built to Sell has been translated into 4 languages. John's new book, The Automatic Customer, Creating a Subscription Business in Any Industry, is scheduled to be released by Random House in 2015. Prior to starting the Value Builder System, John started and exited 4 companies, including a quantitative market research business that was acquired by the Corporate Executive Board in 2008. John's been recognized by B2B Marketing as one of their top 10 business-to-business marketers in the United States. John is certainly one of the real deal. So, John, welcome. I'm thrilled to have you today.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
So before we get started, do me a favor. For those who haven't had the opportunity yet and pleasure of meeting you or hearing you speak or reading your books, take a second. Share your story with our listeners, all right? What are you passionate about? What makes you tick? Who is John Warrillow?
You know, I'm passionate about building companies, and I'm also a family man, so I've got a couple of kids, and they're both into sports, ski racing and tennis, and so I spend a lot of time on either a tennis court or the side of a ski hill watching my kids do their thing. You know, I'm into sports as well, so love triathlon and cycling and those sorts of things. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to pick your brain. So let's dive right in. Do me a favor. What are the 5 trends you're seeing drive the subscription economy?
Sure. So, obviously, we're seeing more and more subscriptions all the time, right? So a lot of us are now subscribed to Netflix. There are 40 million subscribers now to Amazon Prime. Starbucks last month came out with their new subscription offering. So it's an exploding industry. You saw LinkedIn acquire Lynda last month for some astronomical multiple, I think $1.5 billion total enterprise value. So it's a big, big deal. And it's really subscription 2.0 in a lot of ways because, subscription 1.0 was, where we all subscribe to magazines and newspapers. But really 2.0 is being driven by a bunch of trends. I mean, one of them is the sharing economy, the fact that a lot of, folks would rather kind of have access to something like a car, like a home, through something like Zipcar or Airbnb, as opposed to buying the asset. So home ownership rates, for example, in the United States are among the lowest they've been in a generation because, again, young people don't want the albatross of an asset where they could just access it. Spotify, we'd rather just have access to a huge music library rather than now downloading every song from iTunes. So that's one of the biggest trends driving the subscription economy.
To be fair, one of the things that I loved about the first book I read from you was everything was really example based. So with that in mind, will you talk about how one company turned a $29 average sale into a $7,540 sale and then dropped its spoilage rates?
Yeah, sure. So there's a company called H. Bloom, and they're in the business of selling flowers. And if you know anything about selling flowers, it is a tough business. I mean, if you think about running a retail flower shop, you've got Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, which make up 30% of your revenue. You're left the other 363 days a year to try to intercept some guy on his way home from work on his wedding anniversary. He's forgotten a gift, and so you intercept him because you've bought very expensive retail square footage. It might cost you $100 to $150 a square foot in a city like San Francisco or London or New York. And if you're unlucky, he goes down the street and buys virtually the same flowers from your competitor, and you're left with nothing. And what's worse, running a flower store, your inventory dies. I mean, a lot of your listeners probably don't have inventory, but if you have inventory, you know that managing that can be a problem. And in the flower business, it dies in the fridge. It's rotting after a month. The average flower store throws out half of its inventory. So this guy saw New Panda, looked at the business of selling flowers, and said, this is a crazy business. There's no way you can sustain this or scale it. And so what he did is he decided to start selling flowers on subscription. And to do that, instead of selling flowers through a retail setting, he went to the people who buy flowers regularly. So people like spas and hotels and restaurants who want flowers on their reception table to give off a certain image. And he said, look, you're too busy to worry about whether the flowers are fresh. Let me come. Let me replenish the old ones. I'll get rid of the old ones. I'll put new ones every 2 weeks. I'll send you a business-grade invoice. Well, now he's got thousands of customers. And on average, the lifetime value of an H. Bloom subscriber, he makes one sale and gets, as you said, thousands and thousands of dollars of revenue from that customer over the life of their subscription with him, versus the average retail flower shop in America's sale is about $29. So the idea here is, instead of selling a one-off product or service, think about longevity and continuity, and that's really where you start to really maximize the lifetime value of a subscriber.
Okay. One point. So as you and I discussed before we started the podcast, so many of my listeners are in the after-school activity world, and whether they're running a cheer gym, a dance studio, a martial arts academy, what have you, I would argue that those are a form of subscription-based services. We might call it a membership model, but it is absolutely a type of subscription. Would you agree with that?
I would. So if you're in a martial arts academy and you're in the business of selling kind of one-off lessons, like they'll do a one-off private lesson or a package of 5 access passes to your gym or whatever, that's not a subscription model. There's a finite start and an end to the relationship. It's a very transactional model. Whereas if you are offering lessons on a continuity basis, and you're saying to people, look, your kids love karate, and we're going to, over their life as a student, we're going to grow them from a yellow belt today all the way up to a black belt in 5 years, and here's our plan for doing that. It's $99 a month, and you can have access to the gym on these days, etc. And so what you're really doing is taking a transaction that would have had a start and a stop date, and creating some longevity to it beyond that stop date. So yeah, I think your listeners in that after school activity space may well be in a form of subscription business, in particular if there is no kind of end date associated with the student's class.
Okay, makes sense. Again, I really just wanted to clarify that, because I got to believe there's somebody out there going, Well, I don't sell flowers for a living, so just wanted to make sure this is for you too. Let's talk about Amazon Prime for a second, because I know they got me the minute they came out. Why does the average Amazon Prime customer spend, $709 more per year than the average Amazon customer?
Yeah, it's up to about 3 times more. And what it is that once people subscribe, once people create a recurring relationship with your company, it makes them buy more products and services from you. So, for example, with Prime, the average Prime customer spends about $1,500 a year with Prime, whereas the average non-Prime subscriber for Amazon spends about $500. So for you, running an after-school program, I think what you want to remember is that it's fine to sell one-off programs and a 4-pack of lessons or a season, a springtime worth of soccer practice or whatever. That's fine. But if people make a longitudinal, long-term commitment to you to say, we're going to join your membership program, we're going to create a long-term relationship with you, it does something funny in their brain, and it makes them buy more from you. And so that's why a lot of companies create these kind of membership programs or subscription programs. It's not necessarily for the revenue on its own. That's important for a lot of companies, but it is also for the behavior that members members display. I mean, Harley Davidson is a good example of that. Harley Davidson, sell these $20,000 motorcycles, big manufacturer of hardware. You think, why on earth would they care about members? But they've created the Harley Davidson Owner Group, or HOG. And in part, one of the reasons they've done that, they love the recurring revenue of HOG membership for sure, but one of the reasons they've done that is because it makes them more likely to buy another Harley. The reason Costco makes you buy your subscription every year, your membership every year, it's not because they necessarily want the $100, although that's certainly nice. It's because buying the subscription changes your behavior, makes you more likely to continue buying from them.
Huh. Wow, okay. That's wild. I know that you've got, 9 different subscription models, right?
Yeah.
Do me a favor, what are they? And do you feel like you can quickly describe how owners can apply each to their business?
It's probably too long to go into today. I mean, there are 9 different models. Let's pick a couple. I'm happy to pick a couple. I'll tell you that what we've done is put together an ebook that describes all 9 of the subscription models, and there's a page you can go to, automaticcustomer.com/real-deal, and your listeners can download a copy of the ebook, and it goes into much more detail on the 9 models. But just to give you an example of one, the membership website model is a good one. So Kathy Blakely, a good example of this is a woman named Kathy Blakely who happens to run a dance studio where she does after-school programs for girls who want to learn how to dance. And Kathy had been running her dance studio for 40 years when she got a call from Celebrity Cruise Lines. And Celebrity said, we want you to come and actually teach dance on our cruise ship. And of course, Kathy thought 2 things. One, where do I sign? I'd love to go to the Mediterranean and learn that, cruise around in a 6-star yacht or whatever. 2, but what do I do with the dance studio? Who's going to run the after-school programs? And so Kathy enlisted her daughter, Suzanne, and said, Suzanne, can you come and do these for me? Suzanne said, sure, Mom, but on one condition. You document for me how to run the dance studio. Give me the templates, the worksheets, the checklists, and I'll do it for you. So Suzanne the daughter gets these worksheets, and she realizes this stuff is gold. This is, 40 years of her mom, making mistakes, skinning her knees, and learning from it. And here she has codified this kind of recipe for running a dance studio. Well, long story short, Suzanne puts that recipe behind a paywall, charges people, dance studio owners, so people, her kind of peers in the dance business, access to a membership website where they can download these templates and join a discussion forum with other dance studio owners just like her. And of course, that business was acquired a couple of years ago by one of the fastest growing companies in the dance apparel studio business. Why? Well, one, it was the recurring revenue, but 2, the dance apparel company, it was called Revolution Dancewear, wanted access to all those dance apparel companies. And the postscript to the story is that Kathy had been running her business for 40 years, had not had a single offer to buy her business. Suzanne, the daughter, starts dancestudio.com, the membership website, and I think it was within 2 or 3 years she got acquired. So it does make your company, having this recurring revenue, does make your company much more valuable.
Huh. It's actually funny. Suzanne was one of the first people that I interviewed on Real Deal. So this is I actually know her from the dance studio space.
Oh, that's great.
And you are spot on 100%. So that's and she's super cool too.
So I mean that's one of the models. That's a very information driven model. Some people aren't really comfortable selling information, or that's just not their shtick. So there's another 8 models. You can download the worksheet. What the important thing is to come at it with an open mind. Again, whether you run a cheer after-school program or karate or swimming or soccer, you can apply one of these models, and again, it'll make your life a lot easier and ultimately drive up the value of your business.
Love that. How did Tiger 21? And for those who don't know what that is, the world's most exclusive investment club for investors with at least $10 million or more in liquid assets. How did they turn to the subscription model to build their network?
They did, yeah. It's this very secretive kind of secret society of rich guys who kind of meet once a month to do what they call a portfolio defense, which means that one person in the mastermind group gets up and presents their portfolio, how they invest their money, and the other folks around the room, poke holes in their investment strategy and try to illuminate problems or potential liabilities that they have in their investment. And so it's a very sort of revealing process to go through. They turned to the subscription model because they had people. The model that they've used is the membership model, where they charge a membership fee. It costs $30,000 a year to subscribe to Tiger 21, and they get that up front. So you subscribe. Now, the guys who are subscribing have at least $10 million to invest, so 30 grand is probably not that big a deal for them, but they do get the money up front, which is a hallmark of a successful subscription business. Because one of the things about subscriptions that's difficult is that instead of getting all your cash up front, if you're going to, instead of charging, for example, Microsoft Office used to charge $300 or $400 for Microsoft Office when you went into Staples. Now they charge $99 a year, and you subscribe to 365. But they hope that over the life of their customers as a subscriber, they'll get much more than the $300 or $400 you bought it at Staples. But they have to wait all those years to get the revenue, because you're only paying $100 a year for Microsoft. So in the case of Tiger 21, what they've done is say, great, you can subscribe. It's 30 grand a year, but instead of charging you monthly, we're going to charge you annually, and your first bill is due when you subscribe. And that gives them the cash to grow their subscription business. Unlike other subscription businesses that are taking their revenue in on a monthly basis that may run short of cash, they've chosen to do it on an upfront basis, which works for them.
Crazy. When I think about some interesting subscription models, at least that I've seen and actually taken part in, are you familiar with Dollar Shave and Birchbox?
Sure, yeah. A couple of great examples. One's the consumable subscription model, and Birchbox is the surprise box subscription model.
So can you just kind of describe, in case anybody has not, maybe they've been living under a rock, but in case they don't know what this is, like, what are these things? How do they make money?
Yeah, so in the case of, those are two different questions, what they are and how they make money. But in the case of Dollar Shave Club, they are a consumable subscription model. So this works in both business to business. HP inkjet printers is an example of a business to business example, where they will send you on an automatic basis a subscription to the ink refill cartridges you need for your printer. They've got a little sensor in the HP printer. It senses when it's running low. It sends a little notification to headquarters, and then dispatch out an inkjet to refill. So there's a business-to-business context. In Dollar Shave Club's example, that's a business-to-consumer example. All of us need razor blades. All of us, men, I guess, and women, need razor blades on a regular cadence. And so they've acknowledged that the act of buying razor blades, trudging down to Walgreens to buy your razor blades, offers no inherent value. And so you can subscribe to a company like Dollar Shave Club or their competitor Harry's and get razors sent to your door. And what they're keying in on is the idea that, again, the shopping, unlike shopping for a new car, which has some inherent enjoyment, shopping for razor blades has no inherent value. It's just a task. And so taking it off your customer's list has value. So that's the consumables model. And Birchbox is a different model. It's called the surprise box model. And so for Birchbox, what they do is they send women and some men a box full of cosmetic samples. And the cosmetic samples are very small samples of cosmetics, but they're actually very valuable for a lot of women, again, and some men. They like to test the way a cosmetic will kind of react to their skin before they buy the $60 bottle of this stuff. So a little sample allows them to test it. And so Birchbox has figured this out, and so they, subscribers get this box full of samples, which offers tremendous value in and of itself. But the real secret to the Birchbox business is that half of Birchbox, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, have now bought something on the Birchbox.com website. They go on to buy the full-size version of what they sampled on the Birchbox.com website. And that's really how they make money at Birchbox. It's the e-commerce engine, in addition to the subscription revenue that they get from people who subscribe to the box. But the end game in at least the Birchbox example is people who buy the full-size version.
Yeah, you know what? They got me on the Dollar Shave. I think I bought pretty much everything else that they had available. So, yep, works.
You're a One White Charlie user and a shave butter user.
Way more info than anybody needs, right? How would you say business owners can capitalize on the Trojan horse subscription model? I know that you've talked about this, outside of this podcast, and I just thought it might be interesting for these folks to hear.
Well, the story of the Trojan horse, right? So I think it was the Trojans, the Spartans, battling for the city of Troy. The Trojans, they've been going for 100 days. The Trojans got themselves into a horse, and overnight the Spartans thought that the horse was they took it as a symbol of their victory, not knowing that there were all these warriors inside this big horse. They dragged the horse into the city walls. The Spartans went to sleep. The Trojans got up in the middle of the night and conquered the town and took the town for themselves. And so the story is that inside the horse was this kind of other unsuspecting force. And so the analogy goes in a subscription model. A lot of people think it's the subscription revenue itself that is what companies are after, whereas in many cases the subscription revenue is one part of a much larger picture. So again, with Amazon Prime, 40 million of us now subscribe, and that gives $4 billion to Amazon. But again, it severely underestimates what the benefit to Amazon is, because the typical Prime subscriber goes on to buy 3 times the amount of things from Amazon. Another good example is a company called Hassle Free Homes based in Washington, D.C. It's run by a guy named Jim Vagonis. So what Jim does is he will manage your home for you. So he acknowledges to a lot of customers who have nice homes, double income families, busy lives, kids in sports programs, etc. When you get home at night, all you want to do is enjoy your house. You don't want the honey-do list. You just want to sit back, crack a beer, and enjoy your house. And so what Jim says is, look, we will manage it for you. So you won't have a honey-do list at the end of the day. So we'll come, we'll replenish the chandelier bulbs, we'll make sure the lawn is cut, we'll make sure that the swimming pool filters are changed. We'll do it all for you, and we'll do that on subscription. So you just pay us a few $100 a month, and we'll manage it for you. What's interesting about Jim's business is that half of his revenue comes from people buying things outside of his subscription. So they built a relationship with Jim through the subscription, and then when something major goes in the house, like they want to put on a new roof or they want to build a new deck that falls outside of the standard contract Jim has them sign, then he sells them that on the side. And again, 50% of Jim's revenue at Hassle-Free Homes comes from those one-off projects that he would never have gotten. And if he had been interested or been asked to bid on them, they would have certainly, been in a bidding war with 2 or 3 other contracts. In his case, he gets them most of the time without having to bid for the work because he's got a relationship with the company, with the homeowner. So again, it's the concept of this Trojan horse, that your subscription can be important revenue in and of itself, but often really masks the true value of getting people to subscribe.
That's brilliant, and it really. It speaks to the fact for everybody, getting them to join, there's so much more to it. Like after they've joined, now, you're making a sale to get a customer as opposed to getting a customer to make a sale.
It's a great analogy for sure.
So I love that. All right. So this is actually our time for our resource of the week. So I know, John, that you already talked about where folks can go get that ebook. So remind me again, where can they get the ebook of the 9 subscription models?
Yeah, we just set up a little landing page at automaticcustomer.com/real-deal. Okay, and then you can plug in your email address, and we'll send you the ebook.
So that's automaticcustomer.com/REALDEAL, right?
That's correct.
Perfect. All right. Also, I will also tell everybody this again. Go get Built to Sell. Get it now. If you already have it, good. Go back and read it. Read it again and again and again. Also, the valuebuildersystem.com?
Yeah, so we have an approach where it takes 12 steps to improve the value of a business by up to 71%. So we have this methodology we go through with business owners to help them improve the value of their business. One module is recurring revenue. And folks can start. There's actually no commitment necessary to start. You can get your Value Builder score, which gives you an assessment on these 8 key drivers of value in any business. You get a score out of 100, so you can see how you're doing. If that's of any interest, you can go to valuebuilderscore.com, and there's a form there. You can fill it out, and we'll get you the questionnaire to take to complete and get your score.
Fabulous. Do it now, folks. Thevaluebuildersystem.com. All right. John, I always like to end my podcast with one important question. So if you could give business owners just one solid piece of advice to either help their business or, more importantly, to help them to live a better life, what would that piece of advice be?
It'd be easy to say recurring revenue, but since we focused on our entire conversation around that, I'll say a different advice, and that is, so many businesses, I think, start off by selling a lot of things to a few customers. So, in an after-school program environment, that means you get, 2 or 3 parents who really believe in what you're doing, and you start to sell them a broader and broader selection of different services, and you get what I would call it to being sort of an inch deep and a mile wide of services. And I think the secret to building a valuable company, one that you could leave one day and even perhaps sell one day, is actually to flip that on its ear and try to think about selling a few things to a lot of customers. Now, as I say that may sound like the same thing, but it's actually the inverse. The companies that become most scalable, most valuable, really focusing on 1 or 2 products or services, and then try to go find as many customers for that service or product as possible. And that's just a very subtle, but I think important shift to make strategically.
Love it. Absolutely love it. John, thank you so much for joining me today. I know how busy your schedule is, and I appreciate you taking your time and sharing some of your wisdom with us.
Well, nice to be with you, Jason. Thank you.
Fabulous. Folks, that is all the time we've got today. Thanks so much for tuning into The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. For more information about private coaching or to see if you'd benefit from one of our mastermind groups, visit me over at www.jasonmsilverman.com. I look forward to helping you achieve the success that you deserve. Until next time, let me leave you with this. Get out there and be the real deal. Set a goal, make a plan, work like hell towards it, and achieve the success that's waiting for you. Now's the time. Get out there and make it happen, people. Go get them. This has been Jason Silverman, and I hope you have a spectacular week.
You've been listening to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. To access the great resources mentioned in the show and for information on coaching and mastermind group opportunities with Jason, please visit jasonmsilverman.com.